Greetings to you from my deck right up here in Clarkston, Washington. It is the Free the Choice podcast right here on Time Spent Poorly. You can find me at timespentpoorly.com, youtube.com/timespentpoorlytv. I'm at Nathan L. Betts on Twitter. You can find me all over the place, folks. Facebook.com/Free the Choice is where you're going to be finding a lot of this information happening. And I need you guys to support that and pass that along as much as you possibly can. And it's time, folks. It's time to get involved. It's time to get angry. It's time to be mad as hell. There is some next level tyranny going on in your town. And I don't even know if you know that that's what's going on. There's been one specific agenda item on some of the city council meetings recently that has brought a lot of this tyranny to light, but it's moved beyond that now, folks. So first and foremost, the next city council meeting is July 6th at 7 p.m. at City Hall, right there on 5th Street, right across the street from Clarkston Police Department. You got to get yourself to these meetings. You've got to get yourself involved. You've got to find out what's going on. Go back and read some of the prior meeting minutes if you're so inclined. You will find that tyranny has reared its ugly head in our community, folks, and it's gotten out of hand. So there's a issue that's going on right now that was the initiating issue in our town, but it's not the issue anymore. And the issue being, in 2012, the state of Washington legalized marijuana for medical and recreational use. I don't remember voters saying if cities feel like participating in that. I just think that the voters said, this is something that we want. And it's coming to our attention that our city council doesn't care what the voters want. They want to bring up slavery and issues that don't have anything to do with what they did. And what they have done is placed a ban, in my opinion, quite illegally, on the sale of marijuana in the city limits. We have a few people on the Free the Choice Facebook page that says, well, why don't you just move out to the county? All right, well, I'd like to address that issue for you briefly, but I want to keep it as concise as possible because that's not exactly the point anymore. But just to answer a couple of things out loud so we have a face-to-face interaction about it, so to speak, sort of, via the internet at least, instead of just reading a bunch of Facebook posts that are as long as I am tall, and you get that saturation point where you just are like, all right, well, that was too long, I didn't read it, TLDR, so I want to avoid that by having interactions with you guys face to face this way. And one thing that I can tell you is that the city told us that if we renovate the building that we eventually did 8 business days of business out of, if we renovated it, we made the place beautiful again, and it's a local landmark is what it is. It's the first hospital in town. I don't know if everybody realizes Canada for Life actually is in the first tri-state building ever in town, which later then became the Armory or recruiting station, or maybe both. So there's a lot of history in this building. This building is over 100 years old, as I understand it. So they told us if we renovate this building, we will be granted a business license to carry forth this new era of legalized marijuana use. And it's legal for medical and recreational use in the state of Washington. Pretty much I-502 is what it took care of that. There's some House bills on the floor. Senate Bill 5152 is one that's redressing the medical side of it, and House Bill 2136 is the one that is going to come along and is going to revolutionize and change the way marijuana is dealt with in our state. And one thing that we were told was, if we renovate this building and spend a decent amount of change on this renovation, a business license would be granted. And when rubber finally met road and the renovations were made and our inspections were all passed and we were compliant with the Washington State Alcohol and Cannabis Control Board, which is the body and government entity that controls us, the same people that control your liquor are the same people that control us with our cannabis, which makes perfect sense. They're the same thing in most people's eyes. So we were told that we would get a city business license, and we were not granted that city business license. Pardon me if you can hear that. Sorry, the neighbors sprinklers are going off right now, so if you can hear that, sorry. The ban was put in place instead, and they refused to grant us a city business license. So we were faced with a choice: open instead of complying with the city law, or allow the city law to just run rampant and allow tyranny to rule the day. And who knows when we would have been allowed to open. It might have been next year, it might have been never. They keep on deferring to a couple. So just to finalize that, so they told us that they would issue us that. They have then gone back on, I hate to use this word because it sounds so awful, but they did renege on their promise and actually refused to issue the license, and did end up keeping our licensing fee. So they told us, well, people ask us, well, why don't you just go out to the county? Well, the county zoned the sale of marijuana to Evans Road. Evans Road has, in the zoning that we were put into, not only has no pieces of property for sale whatsoever, not a single speck of dirt is for sale on Evans Road as I understand it, but also not a single speck of infrastructure is out there. There's not a single road, not one freaking foot of internet or phone line is out there. There's no water, there's no nothing. So that would have easily tripled the price tag on the already large investment that we put into Canna for Life. So that's what I'm going to say on that, just because it comes up so often on the Facebook page. Put that to rest. But this is way more about our civil liberties than it is about marijuana anymore, folks. We got to change our tone. Apparently the tactic that we've been taking over the last few months, and especially over the last couple of city council meetings in particular, it's not working anymore, folks. I honestly don't know what works, because when you're engaged with an idiot, the first and foremost thing you want to do is make sure that you're not similarly engaged. So I don't know how you make an idiot listen to you. I don't know how somebody that is appears to be a moron can be reasoned with. And I don't mean to say that as a diss or as a jab. I really truly feel that the tactic that the city council has taken and the stance that they have taken has caused them to be moronic and idiotic in their dealings with the public. They've compared the ban of marijuana in the city of Clarkston to the South supporting slavery. Read it for yourself, folks. When the meeting minutes come out from the June 22nd meeting, you'll read for yourself. A city council member compared our ban on marijuana, on the sale of marijuana in the city of Clarkston, Washington in 2015, compared it to the South voting in slavery. And this was his words. He got history wrong in a public forum to make an idiotic point that actually makes my point better than his point. His point was that sometimes voters get issues wrong, and the voters in the South made slavery possible. I'm sorry, but that's just inaccurate. That's historically inaccurate. You can go look up that that's inaccurate. What actually happened was that slavery was so commonplace that Congress just decided to write it in, and it took some dude named Abraham Lincoln to rally some troops and be like, hey, you know what? This is probably pretty wrong. And the voters actually voted slavery out. So if anything, his slavery argument is actually my slavery argument, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to vote tyranny out. Slavery and the ban on the sale of marijuana have nothing to do with each other, so I would have never made that comparison. But in all actuality, if that idiotic comparison were to be made, it's not for the reason that that council member used that information for. And honestly, shame on you for bringing such an old, tired argument to the table to support something that has nothing to do with slavery. So congratulations on that. That's what I mean by moronic and idiotic. So what works with moronic and idiotic? I honestly don't know. I can tell you what doesn't work, though. What we've been doing so far. What we've been doing so far is what most people would do in a situation like this. But when you are dealing with people that refuse to listen to logic and listen to their constituents, like their oath that they swore to uphold dictates that they do, and you don't do it, I don't know what works after that. But coming to city council meetings and tell everybody that's there, you'll have a huge crowd of supporters behind you saying yay, and you'll have a bunch of people that it actually matters in front of you going, or looking down at their pages, not paying attention to you, or looking you right in the eye going, and rolling their eyes at you. So what doesn't work is subversiveness. What doesn't work is Guy Fawkes masks. What doesn't work is politically charged banners and posters that say power to the people, or the city council is more dangerous than alcohol and marijuana combined. I understand that that is our freedom to do that. What I am saying is, while that is our freedom to do that, that doesn't help our case anymore. It just drives their heels further into the ground, and it drives the earplugs that they're forcing into their ears further into their eardrums, to the point where they just don't listen anymore. So we've got to change our tactics. I know it's our right to do these things and say these things and assemble peacefully and be protesters and be activists and be active in our community. What's honestly going to work, one thing I believe will work, is getting indignant about the social injustice that's being perpetrated on the city of Clarkston. That is more important right now. Marijuana is being discriminated against very unjustly. But we need to put that aside for a second, because there's a bigger, more sinister thing going on here. The more sinister thing that's going on here, folks, is tyranny at its textbook definition finest. You have city officials blocking you from your elected rights and your voted upon rights. And beyond just the marijuana issue, we're being told that our opinions do not matter. They might have said, your vote doesn't count. They didn't say it in so many words, but their actions dictate that that's kind of what they think. I can't tell you exactly what they think, because I'm not them, and I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouth. I'm just giving my opinions as what things appear to me. And it appears to me that we have a city council that want to tell us what we should think, instead of we tell them what we think and they represent for us. Their oath swears them to be impartial deputies of our opinion, basically. That is their function. Also, their function is to find funds for things that need funded and allocate those funds. That is pretty much the extent of the city council. The mayor is in charge of them somewhat. They are somewhat in charge of themselves, but they've run rampant, and it's now time for us, we the people, to say, listen, this isn't cool anymore. And people my age, the generation of apathy, in my opinion, gotta say, listen, folks, this is not acceptable anymore. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the generation that doesn't give a crap, that graduated in the year 2000, graduated around the year, between 96 and 2004 or so, that generation, all right there, that's all my demographic and my age group and my peers, get off your ass and do something about this. It's imperative that we do. I've been apathetic until just this year, so shame on me. I'm a registered voter. Go on Facebook. There's plenty of people that are telling you right now that it takes you less than 2 minutes to get registered to vote. Go out there and vote. Do your due diligence. Get mad as hell. Get involved. Get active. You've got to get out there and do something, or there's nothing to complain about, folks. So our tactics aren't working. We need a slogan. We need a message that we can get people behind it, whether they smoke marijuana or not, or even give a crap about marijuana or not, because this isn't just about that anymore. This is that one particular subject that got this entire ball of wax rolling down the road. So it is about that, and it's about social injustice, and it's about veterans going out there and supporting us and fighting for freedoms that are being now trampled on by people that are not paying attention to the oaths that they took. And we do have one person that's fighting and on our side. So remember that when you go to the ballot box. He's not up for re-election this year, but in 2017, when that person goes up for re-election, keep in mind we do have one ally. So let's not alienate him. And I've already rambled on for a little bit longer than I intended on, but apparently I have a lot to say. So get on Facebook where this will be posted. Go on to my timespentpoorly.com website. Find me on Twitter. Get on YouTube and watch this. Make the comments and get the ball rolling. We need a whole bunch of things to happen. We got to get organized and get a cohesive team behind the people that are going to go in there and replace the malarkey that is happening in our city council right now. We need to back them. We need to find them on Facebook and get active and get this word spread. We need to find an entire slogan. We need to find a message that's concise, that can be pinpointed towards people that are sick and tired of government officials running rampant, doing whatever the hell they want, and not being held accountable. We want accountability in our government. We want accountability in our city officials and the people that represent us and that are supposed to represent us. We don't want people that tell you in a public city meeting that because of where you live, your opinions that you're just about to say don't matter. You don't want that kind of crap going on in your city council meetings. You don't want people banging on gavels saying, hey, shut up and sit down or we'll throw you out. We don't want that kind of stuff. We want people that respect their oath that they took. We want a government that respects their constituents and represents the votes that were cast. So get upset. Get angry. My battery's dying here. I hope that this all makes it through. Get upset. Get active. Get angry. Get involved. Find your passion in this. It's not just about marijuana anymore, folks. So let's make it about what it's about. And it's about civil liberties and social injustice. So these will continue to come out as I have time for them, and as I have things to report, I'll report to you. Find me on Facebook, facebook.com/freethechoice. Find me right there on timespentpoorly.com. That's my sprinklers now, if you can hear that. It really is time for me to go to bed then. It is late. Timespentpoorly.com, youtube.com/timespentpoorlytv, Twitter, I'm at Nathan L. Betts, and man alive, that's getting loud. So it's time for me to sign off of here. Thank you guys for listening to all of this. I promise I'll try to keep them more to 10 to 15 minutes from now on. I wanted the first one to go well, and I had a lot to say. So City Council meeting, July 6th, 7 p.m. at City Hall. We need you to be there. Start showing your support. And I don't even know why I'm bothering trying to talk over all that anymore. Thank you for listening. I got to get out of here. This has been the Free the Choice podcast on timespentpoorly.com, and I'll check in with you again tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon or whenever I have more to report. From now until then, be good to you and yours, and yes, we cannabis. See you later.